Shout out to the hardworking people in Miami Beach. They keep it clean, they keep it looking pretty for us. Gotta be here, Southeast, baby. Damn. He ain't sure. I'm gonna do it some more. Watch that ball. Everybody, bet you can't pick that ball. Blow seat, kids out, watch the ball. Here. No. It's always down. 2 and 1. Watch that ball, not this one. Watch the ball. 1, 2, 3. See?
It's on the right here. Right there. $50 because it's right there.
You got it. Show me got you.
We gonna get you out.
They got it.
You sure you know where it's at? She just told us.
$200. No, he got it.
Watch this shot.
You got conspiracy going.
I swear to my mother, I don't do that, bro.
Don't play with money.
New York City, home to over 63,000 homeless people on any given night. It doesn't matter if it's a whole family or single adults. They're all faced with the same decision every night, to either deal with the dangerous shelter system or sleep on the cold streets. Homelessness in New York City is a growing problem that forces people to seek alternative ways to survive out here. And I received a message about a guy having one that I should take a closer look at.
Yo,
what's up with the mask, bro?
The mask protects my identity. Because in spite of the fact that what I'm doing is entirely legal, you have a lot of people that, are in positions of power that would like to see people like me not do what I do. So in order to make their job difficult, I gotta protect my identity.
What do you do?
I snatch bandos. A bando's an abandoned piece of residential property that people such as myself move into and live rent-free.
Yeah, I was hoping it was gonna be a little bit darker than this over here. Back on my bando snatching shit. Yeah. I'll give it one good pass. Shit boarded up crazy. you know, nigga keep some tools. Taking way too much time doing this shit. I should have been in here. My nigga, hold on one time.
So can you show me that?
That's why I contacted you. I wanted to use your platform to tell my story and to shed light on my situation. Just meet me on the right up, 9 o'clock tonight. You know what I'm saying? I could take you inside, show you the bando, I'll show you what's going on. And like I said, we can work out the particulars of the story that I'm trying to tell. We can take it from there.
All right, I'll be there.
All right, so I'm gonna see you at 9, you up? Yeah, man. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, open the gate, come upstairs.
Yo, man, hey.
Yo.
Come on. Are we trespassing or anything? You said this was abandoned, right?
Nah, you everything you're doing is legal, man. You're not trespassing. Come on, man.
Is anybody else here? Anybody else lives here?
Yeah, people live here, but you good.
Yo, I closed the gate. I closed the gate.
Nah, it don't matter. Leave it. Don't worry about it.
Ain't no police or anything gonna come, right?
I told you, you don't have to worry about that, man. Everything you're doing is legal.
What's that? What you have to do?
I'm about to lock the door.
Okay.
Come upstairs.
Upstairs? So, what's going on in here? Is somebody in here? You got people in here?
I told you there's people in here, brother. Somebody lives there. Have a seat. Get comfortable.
So what's going on, man? What's your name?
You just call me the Bando Snatcher.
Bando Snatcher?
What's Bando Snatcher?
What does that mean? Like, does that have a meaning or does it stand for something?
Absolutely. It basically describes the lifestyle of someone who snatches bandos.
What's a bando?
A bando is an abandoned piece of residential property that someone such as myself takes and makes their own.
Makes their own, like what you did here?
Yeah, to the extent that I live here, you know, semi-comfortably, rent-free.
Rent-free?
Yeah, rent-free. I don't pay rent to live here.
So the person that owns this house hasn't contacted you, or because nobody's came over here and said, hey, how long have you been here? Like,
I've been here about going on 2 years now.
2 years?
Yeah,
And this place was abandoned?
yeah.
How did you get the lights on?
Actually, I turned them on myself. I'm an electrician by trade. So, yeah, so making sure that the whole building has electricity, that wasn't a problem.
Okay. If this place is abandoned, are we trespassing here? Like, how does that work?
Not at all. You're actually a guest in my home.
Your home?
Yes. this is
You
my-
claim this as your home now?
Absolutely.
So do you think that you're homeless? Do you feel homeless?
Well, listen, let me answer your first question first. Everything we're doing, as far as you even being here, is well within the confines of the law. We're not breaking the law. We're not bending the law.
What law is that?
We'll get into that later. We'll get into that.
My other question was, do you consider yourself homeless then, since you have this?
Absolutely, because me having this only goes to a certain extent. I don't actually own the building. I just have a valid claim.
You have a valid claim?
Yes.
So, who owns the building?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
I just know at this time I'm claiming it as my own, and I live here and I go and come as I please as if it is my own. But like I said, I only have a legal claim to the property. I don't actually own the property.
So, how did you get, where did you get the furniture and stuff? Was it here when you came here?
Actually, believe it or not, a lot of this furniture you see, I got curbside on garbage day. You'd be surprised at things people throw away.
For this place to be abandoned, it sure looks nice though. I'll tell you that.
Thank you, I appreciate the compliment, but I tell you, it does have its dark side.
Where did you get this idea from that you can just take somebody's property and just live in it like you're doing right now?
I actually got the idea during my free time during the course of my incarceration. I was incarcerated from the age of 18 to 35 years old for manslaughter. I was convicted after a jury trial of manslaughter in the first degree. And like I said, during the course of my free time in prison, I would read a lot. The prisons I went in, the material became redundant, so the only fresh things you could get to read on a daily basis would be law. So I would read the law journals and things of that nature, and I came across, like I said, a certain law within, New York State that would allow me to do the things that I'm doing to this day, as far as claim a property as my own and live in it for rent-free.
What is it, a property law? What is that?
Well, at this point, I'm not going to get into the particulars of what it is, because, like I said, a lot of people misuse good information. So, like I said, we're just not going to get into that right now.
So, I mean, technically, you look like a squatter. Do you feel like a squatter?
I mean, I've been called worse. I feel like I'm someone who fell upon hard times and, decided to take matters into his own hands as far as finding shelter.
How many times have you done this?
This is actually my second Bando within 4 years.
In 4 years? How big is this place? Is this place big?
Well, I'm actually going to give you a tour in a minute, but I just want to square away a few things as far as what I would like from you and your company. Like I said in a few emails I sent you, I would like to use your platform to tell my story. I would actually also like to shed light on the homeless epidemic in New York City. Me, myself, being a part of the epidemic, I feel I'm in a good position to actually tell that story. I actually did want to give you a tour of the place so you can see everything, see what's going on. It actually looks very comfortable right here, as you can see, but certain parts of the building are in total disrepair. But like I said, before we do that, I need you to follow me downstairs. I need to go to the basement because I have to flush the toilet. I have to actually turn the hose on from the water main because I don't have actual running water. As you can see, I have the hose right here. This hose goes all the way downstairs to the basement, to the water main that leads into the building.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, watch your step. Come.
Is anybody down there?
Nah, there's nobody down here, brother.
You got lights down there too?
Yeah, come.
Wow.
As you can see, it's real fucked up.
Wow.
Come. Got a room in here.
Wow.
Yeah, I ain't get to fix this. I ain't get to fix this up yet. As you can see it.
Yeah.
It's in total disrepair. The people that was in this Bando before me, they were petty thieves. They came in, as you can see, they were looking to steal copper so they could take it to the local recycling place and, get a couple pennies for it. So they basically destroyed a lot of, walls down here. But my plans are to actually, come up with the funds to make this place down here a little bit more livable and actually give it to someone else who's homeless.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and just, allow them to stay here for free until they're able to get on their feet.
How many people you got living here?
At the time I have 1, 2, 3 people living here. 3 people that, I met in the street who were homeless, explained me their situation. And, I meet people like that all the time, but I make it my business and narrow down the best candidates. Because you just can't give anyone somewhere free to live.
That's another room?
Yeah, that's another small room right there.
Okay.
We're not even gonna go in there because there's a lot of cobwebs, a lot of rat shit. We're just gonna stay out of there. But the real reason why we came down here, like I said before, I don't have running water in the building because people came in the building, like I said before me, they was living in here. Mostly crackheads, junkies, dope fiends, and they stole the pipes. They stole a lot of pipes. They actually ripped up all the pipes to the water heater. So there is no, as you can see, there is no pipe.
So you have heat in here? Because it's cold down here.
Yeah, I have heat, but I don't bother, heating down here because nobody comes down here. The only time I come down here is to turn the water on. As you can see, I had to go buy a couple parts from the hardware store.
Okay.
Because the only thing that the building does have is the water main coming directly to the building, but there's no pipe leading anywhere. So like I said, I came up with this idea. I have 2 hoses. This hose is for the 2nd floor. This hose is for the 1st floor. Right now I'm going to turn the hose on because, like I said, I need to flush the toilet upstairs and fill the water bin up.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
The hose has a leak in it.
Go this way.
The hose has a leak in it, and I don't want to damage the equipment. So I'm going to put the shovel over the hose, and you just shoot off right past me because this whole area is getting sprayed with water.
Wow.
I need to buy another hose.
You need another hose.
Yeah. All right, come on. Come on with the camera. So, in order to have water to flush the toilet, clean my body, wash my dishes, I fill up this garbage can with water. And yeah, once I get this stroke to the top, I fill the bucket up as well.
Those are your dishes?
Nah, I use those dishes for cleaning and shit.
To clean the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. Like I said, this is the bathroom. Make the best out of the situation. Before we continue this tour, stay right here for a second. I'm gonna run down, cut that water off, and we'll get right back to it.
Okay.
This is basically the general area of my upstairs. As you can see, we got a couple games, hookah, a bunch of seating areas, not seating areas, sitting areas. Over here I got where I cook, prepare microwave food because I really don't cook, I eat out a lot. Deep freezer, blender, microwave, sandwich maker. I got my grill I'm about to bring out because it's nice. In here we have...
You don't have a stove back there?
No, actually I have a stove, we're going to get to that in 1 second, but over there, no, there's not a stove. I actually go back and forth with the hot plate from cooking, frying whatever I fry to actually heating up the water, but that's another story. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Come on in here. This is my VIP room. This is my VIP room. I like to entertain a lot. I invite friends over.
Okay.
Pull-out couch, TV, DVD player. That's the heater I use to keep it warm. For the most part, when you're having a good time, you like to have that exclusiveness to your good time. You want to get away from, the actual party. That's what this is for, the VIP room.
People sleep here. They spend the night,
More
or
that's why I usually keep blankets and pillows, because more times than not, people end up staying 2, maybe 3 days.
yeah, and you allow that.
Why wouldn't I? Over here we have another bedroom.
Bedroom?
Yeah, that's my cousin's room. We're not gonna do that as far as doing it because he's not here. You know, I respect his privacy.
Oh, okay.
You follow me to the back?
So you have family with you?
Absolutely.
Illegal activity going on in here?
Not at all. I don't break the law.
Do you allow other people to stay here if they do?
Not at all. I don't break the law. So if I'm not breaking the law, under no circumstances I'm not gonna allow you to break the law. You're not gonna jeopardize my situation because you wanna break the law. It's not tolerated under no circumstances. Now you asked me about the stove.
Yeah.
This is where the stove is. This is the actual kitchen. But as you can see, it's in total disrepair. The stove doesn't work, the sink doesn't work, nothing works. The light doesn't even work, so I have this large construction light. What I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna break down the rear portion of this kitchen and turn it into a room. I'm gonna remove this cabinet. I'm gonna build a wall from here to here and just block out all of this because, like I said, it's in such disrepair that it just doesn't make sense to even attempt to fix it because it just doesn't. Truthfully, financially, I'm not able to do it. I set her up right here. My friend, she's pregnant. She's currently waiting for a shelter system to accept her, but she's homeless and needed immediate shelter. So she sleeps here. So I'm gonna do her that favor and make her a room. This entryway, I have a curtain up here for now. What?
You gonna put a door?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a door.
Okay.
Oh, I almost forgot to show you. This is my room actually.
Oh, this is your room.
Yeah.
This is nice, man.
Thank you. Like I said, this is my bedroom, my bed, my pillows. Come on in. It's my TV. This is my laptop. I actually use this as a workstation. I do a lot of research as far as, you know, locating bandos, finding out who owns the bando, things of that nature. So let me just open the door real quick.
Hey man, listen. I want to thank you for allowing me and my cameras into your bando.
Absolutely, this pleasure was all mine.
And you should be commended for what you're doing to help other homeless people and yourself get off the streets. And I see that y'all need a lot of work done in here, so I will try to get your story out there to the right people so they can help you fix this place up.
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, I thought your platform was one of the better platforms to get my message out. And I'll be in touch. Appreciate you.
Thank you. When I left the Bando Snatcher, I had good information about something I did not know about, but I had a lot more questions about how this whole lifestyle came about. The Bando Snatcher invited me to sit down with him one more time before he closed the door on me.
Today I have with me the Bando Snatcher, but in all seriousness, we have to address this problem with the lack of affordable housing in New York City and why people like the Bando Snatcher takes matters into their own hands when the system fails them. Now, I would like to start off by saying thank you for allowing me and my cameras to come into your bando.
No problem.
And it looks nice. For it to be abandoned. That's where I'm confused at, because I came up through this and I'm like, this is abandoned? Like, how did you do that?
Let me try and clear some of your confusion. You say you're confused, all right? Like I said, the property was abandoned and it was bad. Like, it was a bunch of rats, a bunch of holes in the walls.
Wow, I haven't seen a rat since I've been here.
And that's because I properly cleaned and sealed the basement.
Wow.
And with the few resources that I did have, you know, upon becoming homeless, I invested in the building.
Wow. So you invested in the building. Why couldn't the owner or even New York City invest in this building so someone can live here? Because what you're doing is something that I feel like they should be doing.
I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know why they aren't doing the things they aren't doing. I just know that out of necessity, this is what I've done.
When you do it, are you only thinking about yourself, or do you allow others to live in your bando?
My principle is this. I have a roof over my head. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. I like to share the fortune. There are other people that live here rent-free. They don't pay me any rent.
So I want to go somewhere else with this, because I also was homeless in New York City, and I went through the system. I ended up with an apartment. You know, New York City, they have paid their money and all of this other stuff with it. But I want to know what made you come to the point where you was dealing with the homeless system and you said, I can't, this is not working. This is not going to work for me, or whatever the case may be. And you went to this route right here. How did you get from there to there?
I was just completely uncomfortable with the living circumstances that the New York City shelters were providing me at the time. They were filled with rampant drug abuse. There was a whole bunch of unclean items that I had to use on a daily basis, such as the facilities, the toilets, and things of that nature, and it just felt uncomfortable. And at one point, it became unbearable. As far as my day-to-day experiences, people were constantly stealing from me. And I'm talking about minor things. People will steal your soap. They'll steal your toothbrush. They'll steal your socks. And it just became overbearing. So I said to myself one day, you know what? I have to leave here. But it's like, where do I go? I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have any family members in New York. I don't have any family members that are actually willing to take me in. That's when it hit me. Squatters' rights.
Squatters' rights.
I said, if I could scour the city, the 5 boroughs, and find me an abandoned property and make it my own, I'll solve my problem momentarily. It'll give me enough time to get myself together and not have to worry about the circumstances of the shelter, like I said, and be able to find, I guess you could say, legitimate housing. But until then, this is where I'm at, and that's pretty much how I got here.
How do you feel about someone who's going to sit back and watch this and say, who does he think he is, taking someone's property and living in it, fixing it? I can imagine the stuff that you went through to get this. How did you get the lights on in here? The electricity, like, how did you do that?
I'm an electrician by trade. I actually went back to electrical school.
Wow.
And learned how to run power. So, you know, any building that I'm in is always going to have power.
Look at that. And water.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Listen, I have everything in my bando that you have at home.
Wow. Amazing. And I see it. I mean, we got lights. So
absolutely.
You got cable.
Absolutely. Fire stick.
You got cable. This right here is something that I can't understand why the city has not addressed this problem, because there's a lot of people running through the system like yourself, but they didn't come up with this idea that they can house themselves if they just fix up an abandoned property. Now, I want to get to the part where did you get this idea?
I didn't really get the idea. I actually came across the information doing research within the law library.
Law library? What, you mean in prison?
Absolutely. I was incarcerated for 15 years for manslaughter.
Okay.
And during the course of my, I guess you could say, transition, it wasn't a smooth transition. I was very rebellious, so it led to me doing a lot of box time. While in the box, my reading materials was limited, and the only resources I was really allotted were law books, so I read a lot of law. I just happened to come across squatters' rights. I found it to be interesting to the point to where, you know, at one point, all I did was read squatters' rights law. It just so happened, you know, upon my release, I was working. You know, I had a room. I was renting a room. Things became sketchy at work. My hours got cut. My wages were cut. It led to me becoming homeless due to not being able to pay my rent.
Okay.
So that's when I decided, you know what, let me utilize this information that I have. Let me utilize New York State squatters' rights laws. And this is actually what I'm doing. This is why you're sitting here talking to me now.
Yeah, but that's not the answer to everyone's problem. Like
everyone's not a bando snatcher, man. Everyone's not a bando snatcher.
Everyone's not a bando snatcher. So what are you gonna do when the person who owns the bando actually comes around here? Have you had any like activity going on in here? Like has the police came here? Like, do the police? Do you interact with the police? Do anything like that happen?
Absolutely. This is actually my second bando in 3 years.
Wow.
And a lot of times, every time I move in, the neighbors call the police and say that there's someone inside an abandoned building.
Wow. Yeah.
But due to certain steps that I've taken, the building is no longer regarded as abandoned. This is my residence, and I also have proof, and I always show the officers proof.
Yeah.
Yes. And to the dismay of the neighbors, once I do that, it is no longer a penal issue. It becomes a civil issue. Therefore, it's out of the jurisdiction of the police.
Okay. All right. So now, I'm the person that owns this place, the bank or whoever the hell it is. Somebody got to own this property down the line. Like somebody's name is on this somewhere. And they come over here and they see that you live here now. But you're not paying them no rent.
I don't owe them any rent. Why would I pay them rent? I don't owe them rent.
You don't owe them rent?
No, I do not.
I beg to differ. A lot of people is going to look at this and say, I beg to differ. If you've been living there and in that person's property, and just like I live in someone's property and I got to pay them rent,
but see,
they're going to say the same thing that what makes you different?
What makes me different is that there's no agreement between me and anyone for me to live here. The law does not specify that I have an agreement to live here.
Okay. The law just protects you for living here.
It's not that it protects me, it enables me. So my thing is this, to answer your question, I'm not concerned with anyone has to say. As long as I'm not breaking the law, they shouldn't have anything to say.
And do you allow other people to live in your bando?
Absolutely. I come across homeless people all the time. People fall on hard times all the time. Okay. Family members, friends of mine. I have 2 family members living downstairs on the first floor. I have a friend living up here on the second floor with me. Excuse me. So yes, I do allow people to stay here rent-free. Not for the purpose of taking advantage of having a free roof over their head, but allowing them the time to financially get themselves together.
Yeah.
So they can have legitimate housing.
You know, sometimes, you know, the deal with New York City is, where is the legitimate housing at? Because a lot of us is faced with, we don't make enough to live here. In these apartments that's you talking about, you know, one room for $1,000, like, come on. That's the norm here. So how do you feel like this problem that we're having here, that you have, because you basically, you had a job and you had somewhere to live. You was living in a room, you said, but you know, the payments got more than how you was getting paid. And that happens to a lot of people in this city. So what's the next step? What's the next step? Because, you know, some people say, you know, raising the minimum wage, whatever that I don't know what joke that is, because if you're going to raise a pay, but you're going to raise a rent, if my rent was $1,000 this month and next month is $1,200, like, come on, where's the makeup at? So a lot of that is forcing people like you to do stuff like this. What do you feel is the remedy to that? To stop someone like you, or to help someone like you? To help someone like you have legitimate housing in this city?
To help someone such as myself, or anyone for that matter, to have legitimate housing in New York City, they would have to lower the rent. Because $1,200 on average to $1,300 for a 1-bedroom apartment for someone such as myself, who's only going to make maybe $30,000 a year, it's just not reasonable. Now, someone may do the math and say, hey, that's well within your means. Okay, but what about car fare? What about food?
Yes.
What about clothing?
Yeah.
You know, nothing fancy, just a necessity.
Yeah.
It becomes unrealistic.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what's your criteria for taking a bando?
I mean, I get the pick of the litter. You know, it's like when I cruise, that's what I call it cruising. When I cruise and I go looking for buildings or whatever, you know, I painstakingly go through all of them, you know? And it's like, I pick the best one.
Okay. Wow. So,
How long do you think your bando is gonna last? It's already went through the police search, so what's next? You got to deal with the owner of the house or the bank or anybody like that?
You never know what's next with this bando life, man. Like this bando snatching is a lifestyle. Like, you know, I set it up to where I'm comfortable, but at the end of the day, I know tomorrow could be my last day here.
That's her body, her choice. Her body, her choice. Somebody, I mean anybody, if you hear the sound of my voice, no. Since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. That's her body, her choice. Her body, her choice. Somebody, I mean anybody, if you hear the sound of my voice, no. Since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one.
You are my brother. You are my sister. You are king.
It's immaculate. Everything attacking it. Need to tell you something different. That's inaccurate. Every chick who life I left want me back in it, and I don't never chase no money. I be attracting it. Oh, different kind of time, different kind of time, different kind of drip, different kind of fly, different kind of guy. So don't get out of line. That's the bottom line. I'm on a different kind of time. Oh, different kind of time, different kind of time, different kind of drip, different kind of fly.
What it do, what it is, it's Michael Payton in the building. Shout out to Adventures Music. We out here right now. Shout out to Arthur Everlast for writing these incredible books right here. These were definitely must reads. I'll be reading these on the plane, you know what I mean? Shout out to everybody out there doing black business and doing their thing, man.
That's the black business right there. Look at that. Look at the black business right there. That's the something, bitch. There he is. That's the Arthur right there.
Daquan, Fat P, and Dre hid in the yard of a house directly across the street from the store. There were no lights on in the house, which made their concealment even better. Fat P looked at his watch and it read 9:49 p.m. 1 minute, Fat P reported in a low voice. Daquan was sweating from the anticipation. Fuck it, he said, and pulled down his ski mask. His two partners followed suit and they made their move. They dipped across the street as quick as possible, looking in every direction. Daquan rushed into the empty store first and pulled his gun out on his owner immediately. Put your fucking hands up. The store owner thought about going for his gun he had under the counter, but Dre jumped over the counter too fast, freezing the owner in his tracks. Dre pushed the owner onto the rack in the back wall, spilling candy all over the floor. The owner caught his balance and put his hands in the air. Dre hit a few buttons on the register and it chimed as the money tray slid out. Dre opened the black book bag he was carrying and emptied the entire money tray into it. Dre looked under the counter and saw 3 Philly blunt boxes stacked in between a few cartons of cigarettes. He grabbed them and found one filled with money. The second had Philly blunts in it and the last one had a 38 special in it. He dumped all 3 boxes into his bag as fast as he could, just as Fat P said 1 minute. Dre turned to the owner and shook him down. He took the owner's wallet and searched his socks. Nothing else? He asked him. The store owner looked at Dre like he was crazy. Come on, guys, you got everything. Now please leave. Shut the fuck up, Dre snapped. And then he turned to the telephone and kicked the whole connection box off the wall. Dre jumped over the counter and Daquan stepped up close to the counter, lie down on the floor and count to 50. The owner sucked his teeth and laid down on the floor. The 3 robbers was out the door by the time he counted to 2. They cut corners and ran until Fat P almost passed out. By the time they realized they were 2 blocks away from the projects, the running turned into walking until they reached Dre's building onto the elevator. When they got off the elevator, they heard music coming from Dre's apartment. before Dre could put the key in the door, he said, "Just go straight into my room." Dre opened the door and they tried to avoid the living room action of Dre's mother doing a drunken two-step with a guy the boys knew from Marcy Avenue. Daquan took the book bag from Dre and made a beeline to Dre's bedroom. Fat P followed Daquan halfway down the hallway until Dre's mother's voice made him stop in his tracks. "What you got for me, Dre?" his mother asked with a slur. Dre was used to walking in on scenes like this, but now they were getting tiring and it didn't put any food in Dre's stomach. His mother always used questions like these as a form of checking up on her son in front of her company. And once they left, things would go back to her ignoring him and his sister while she nursed a bottle of gin. Dre said, "Ma, I don't have nothing and I'm starving. Did you make something to eat?" "Shit, boy, you old enough. Go make your own food," she replied. Then she turned her back on him and went back to entertaining her date. Dre shook his head and then walked down the hallway to his room. Daquan stood on the side of Dre's bed, still holding the book bag as if he was ready to run back out of the room. "What did she say?" Daquan whispered like anyone could hear him over the loud music. "Never mind her. Let's count this paper," Dre said, trying to forget what was going on in his living room. Fat P moved the dresser onto the door and Daquan quickly dumped the bag of contents out on the bed. Daquan sat down on one side of the bed while Dre sat down on the other. Fat P pulled up a chair and they formed a triangle around their booty on the bed. Dre grabbed the gun and Daquan snapped at him. "Man, empty that shit." "I know, be cool." "Fuck that, let's count this," Fat P said with a big Kool-Aid smile on his face. Daquan and Fat P separated the bills from the change and Phillies while Dre continued to play with the stolen gun. "Dre, you got a good hiding spot in here?" Daquan asked. Dre looked up and looked around his room and then it hit him. "Yeah, check this out." Dre went over to the radiator that was underneath the window and he began to remove the door off the radiator. Inside the radiator was a small space at the bottom of it. Then Dre went over to his closet and pulled out an old Nike box and brought it over to the bed. When they finished counting the money, Fat P said $653.22. "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Not bad for 10 minutes worth of work," Daquan boasted proudly. "Hell yeah, and we got a new gap for the stash," Dre added. Daquan split the money 3 ways and said, "I'm only taking $50 of mine. I want you to put the rest in your window spot, Dre." "I'll stash my dough in my own crib," Fat P said. "We know. Just don't go crazy at Burger King." Dre sparkled with a chuckle around the room. "So what y'all want to do now?" Daquan asked. "Let's go to that party over on Flushing," Fat P answered, feeling hype about how the rest of his night was supposed to go. Dre's eyes lit up. "Word, I'm with that. Let me change real quick." Fat P stood up and said, "I'm going to run downstairs and change too." Once Dre finished getting dressed, they went downstairs and collected Fat P, who lived in the same building as Dre. Then they went over to Daquan's house so he could do the same. It was almost 11 o'clock when they walked into the house. Mama K was sitting on the couch on the telephone and said into the receiver, "Oh, here he is. Here, say something to Pop before they lock him in for the night." Daquan ran over to the phone. "What's up, Pop? I've been looking for you all day. I'm going to call you back in the morning, all right?" Pop said more than as a statement than a question. "Okay, Pop." Pop said, "I love you and tell Mama and them I'll call back in the AM." "Okay, we love you too, Pop," Daquan said and then hung up. Mama K stood back and analyzed the 3 amigos. "And where y'all think y'all going?" "We going to this party over on Flushing Ave for a little while, Mama K," Daquan answered. "Yeah, Mama K, just for a little while," Dre said, quickly backing up his friend. She looked from Daquan to Dre, then she looked over to Fat P, and he added his piece of the argument. "We'll be back by 1. That's not too late for a Saturday, Mama K." "Boy, you don't have to tell me what day it is." She snapped and looked from face to face again and said, "Yeah, well, you boys be back in these projects by 1. I'm only saying okay because it's a Saturday." "Thank you, Mama K," Daquan said with a big smile. He kissed her on the cheek and ran down to the room to change. Trey and Fat P followed suit by kissing Mama K on the cheek and headed down to Daquan's room before she changed her mind. Alright, so that was them introducing themselves to a game that they really didn't know about, but they tried it, and to them it worked on that night. So I don't want to tell you what happens after that or whatever, but they go through a lot with that, doing what they're doing, because they start really elevating in it, and they start really making some money doing it. So with money, more money comes more problems.
Amen.
Mama K say something?
Mama K, she got her own money going on, but you know, things happen.
You never know.
Things happen.
Well, and I definitely can't wait to read that.
I want to give y'all one more. I want to give you a piece from part 2, because as you're gonna see, when you read part 1, you're gonna want to read part 2, because it's like, yo, I stopped it and it was like, what happened? Like, I got so many arguments, like, where is this one and what happened and all that. So you're gonna go right into it. But I'm gonna fly through this real quick. I don't remember which one this was, but oh yeah, not really knowing her baby was really, not knowing where her baby was really took a toll on Melissa mentally, and at some point she felt herself feeling like she needed to use her police training to find her own baby. She just did not know where to start. ADA Dolan coming to her made Melissa break down, but when she left her house, she started brainstorming about Daquan and the whole situation with the case. 2 things bothered her about it all. Investigators haven't been able to find Andre Jones, and her baby was missing, and Daquan hadn't made any noise her way about it. Melissa didn't care about putting Daquan away for the rest of his life. All she cared about is getting her baby back, and the DA's office wasn't talking about that, so she didn't want to talk anymore. Melissa knew she was up against the 8-ball going to her colleagues for information, but she had to do something. They blamed her for the Daquan murder case because she brought him to the apartment and he returned with his friends to rob their undercover operation. A lot of days Melissa blamed herself for her partner's death, but that was no excuse for the force to turn their backs on her. Her baby is an innocent bystander in all of this, and the least they could have done is help her find her baby. Melissa had always been a good detective. She just didn't use her skills because she hadn't been thinking straight for months. Now it was time to change. The first person Melissa went to see is the lead investigator in her baby's disappearance case to get copies on everything he had. His detective was reluctant to give her the files, but Melissa came to his office determined to get what she wanted. And he was cold on the case anyway, so why not let her give it a try? Melissa took the files home, pulled out the files, and she had on Daquan's case and looked over everything until her body forced her to get something to eat. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do it.
Spoiler alert.
It's going down.
Yeah, don't go down.
No.
Alright, I give you this right here. Because I'm going to skip this part right here. This right here. You have to figure out with that. Melissa's Washington Heights neighborhood was full of Spanish and Dominican culture, making her a cocoa complexion, long wavy black hair, and an easy fit. And when she moved in and became an undercover cop. Once the incident happened with Daquan, she was advised by the department to move, but Melissa was comfortable at that point, and she was pregnant, making her want to have the first baby, making her want to have the baby first, then think about moving. Walking through the neighborhood, snacking on a slice of pizza, Melissa began to get the feeling that it might be time to move and let everything go. She didn't want to feel like she was quitting, but there was nothing around here to look forward to anymore. Walking down Amsterdam Avenue, she found herself looking at a red Lexus GS 300 double parked in front of the store on the corner of 138th Street. New York City is full of Lexuses, but There was something familiar about that red Lex that made Melissa stop and watch as the driver came out the store shaking the juice. He looked at Melissa as he opened the juice, took a swig, then opened the car door. When he opened the door, the light came on in the car. Melissa could see the passenger face. Her heart almost stopped. That can't be. The driver slammed the door, shifted the car in gear and pulled off. It seemed like all in one motion without giving her much time to think. Melissa watched as the car pulled off quickly, pulled out a pen, and wrote the license plate number down on her hand. I don't want to say playback, South Carolina. Melissa speed walked back to her apartment to write down the license plate number on some paper and get her job of tracking down the two people she saw in that Lexus. If her eyes didn't deceive her, Melissa just saw Andre Jones riding in the passenger seat of that Lexus. The South Carolina plate on the back was throwing her off, but if she had to bet on it, that car looked familiar to her because she used to ride in it when Daquan owned that Lexus. Alright, so you know Daquan owned the Lexus. That's all.
Well, thank you, Ev. All right.
Hopefully we do some good Juneteenth shit. Today's Juneteenth, you know, so I'm hoping that, you know, I'll come out feeling accomplished and shit.
I'm 10-2, my chest out. That bullshit, they gon' only bring the best out. Pop smoke, drop it in, find the best route. Pop smoke, drop it in, find the best route.
What's up, it's your girl Chloe Love, CEO of Brook Brothers Music, owner of Chloe's Corner, over here at with El Punto The Spot.
I want to say salute. This is Soul B, the big homie, the real big homies. And I'm at El Punto The Spot, and it's lit tonight.